Ever since you were born, without your knowledge, others put you into the monetary system. Birth certificate, name, then ID, and so on. All are written papers, mostly on a computer and printed through a device. What is seen on those papers is called language, which we will discuss later. You need to be aware that those are just papers with some marks on them. No such paper, document, receipt, voucher, etc. have any actual value. All value lies in imagination. If you accept an ID to be your identity, it will be. Speaking of names, your name is chosen by others and is another line of marks in the form of language. You are also limited with your choice of a name because you can only use a certain number of letters or groups. These letters will be converted into sounds and you will recognize yourself through them. The same goes for others. Personalized sounds for individuals that can be changed by different procedures at different stages of life. Many people have the same name, so they aren't actually personal. So we know the reality about names. They represent a group of letters, marks, through which you identify yourself, and the documents have no value if you do not assign it. In fact, paper containing such marks is as valuable as a marriage certificate or any other document accepted by the monetary system. The scary part is that the system is based on these papers, and they can be falsified easily. Because of this, you can suffer severely.
This is an ordinary suburban house, and this is the owner of the property, Mrs. E. Hornstein, about to let herself in after a day at work. She doesn't realise she's about to become a victim of crime. The hustlers are about to steal something very valuable from her. No, it's not her car or her cash. They're going to steal her identity. This is the ID theft hustle.
ID theft is one of the fastest growing crimes in this country and globally. In general, what happens is the hustlers get hold of basic bits of information about you. They might get part of your credit card, they might get your national insurance number, anything they can find. Then they use that information to obtain credit, i.e. get loans, credit cards, all in your name. Now, when I say credit, you've got to think about debt, because basically they're mounting debt that you will be responsible for.
The hustlers have collected application forms for loans, credit cards and refinance companies. They are furiously applying for credit in Mrs. Hornstein's name. But how did they get her details to fill in the forms? 2 nights previously, our hustler Paul had the unenviable task of bin rummaging. Under the cover of darkness, Paul finds the alley behind the Mark's house where rubbish is thrown. Having retrieved the bin bags, he starts to perform his dirty deed. He looks for any discarded documents he could use for ID theft. And bingo, it looks like he's hit pay dirt. 2 of Mrs. Hornstein's utility bills have been discarded amongst the rubbish, which, as experts will tell you, is a common way to lose out to ID fraud.
One of the ruses that the criminals use to get hold of this information is to go through your bins. It's not at epidemic levels. I don't want you to think that you know, every day somebody is going through your bins, but it could happen.
If you put any bills, any personal details in your dustbin, there are people going around late at night taking your rubbish away.
After sending the forms off and waiting 2 weeks, our hustlers have now received 3 credit cards with a total credit limit of £10,000 in the Mark's name, Mrs. E. Hornstein. Rather than spending all this money fraudulently and ruining the Mark's credit rating, Alex and Jess are on their way to confront Mrs. Hornstein to demonstrate how shocking this crime really is. They have packed a purse with receipts, documents and the credit cards obtained in her name. At the Mark's address, our hidden cameras watch the action.
Hello. Hi, are you Mrs. Hornstein?
Yes.
Yeah, just found your wallet outside.
Have you?
Is that not your wallet?
That's my name, but it's not my stuff.
We just found it on the floor.
Outside.
Oh my God! Somebody's. This is all my name.
Are those not your credit
They're
cards?
not mine.
In fact,
How strange.
Miss Hornstein, I'll be honest with you, we didn't just find it, we actually made it.
What?
Well, we've also made this. This is a loan taken out in your name for £12,000, and it's been accepted.
You've made this?
Yeah.
Why have you done that then? Can I get a jumper on? I want to go inside.
That's all right, we'll wait for you here.
Right.
I'll show you exactly how we've made things. We use these that we found in your bin. That's got your name, your address. This is another credit card bill.
That's my sloppy husband doing that.
And that's,
I don't throw anything away.
Bank statement as well.
Why is he throwing this stuff away?
So from that, we were able to get credit.
3 credit cards and
Three
a loan
credit
for
cards.
£12,000.
Frightening, isn't it?
It's terrifying.
At least Mrs. Hornstein didn't actually lose her money to our hustlers, which is more than can be said for many victims of this worrying crime.
Yeah, because I was refused credit, so I wrote to CNN to find out why. And they sent me a long list, and against variations of my name at my old place where I lived previously, there was about £5,000 or £6,000 worth of debt, because these people that had moved into my flat had actually used my name to open up different accounts. I opened up Harrods account, an Avon account, Grattan's, Freeman's, all the electrical places, and they actually got about £5,000 or £6,000 worth of goods under my name. That I felt like a criminal. When this guy came out and said, you know, you've been refused credit, sort of thing, I sort of said, well, why? Because I knew I wasn't in debt.
In the past, you may have noticed that we've been quite eager to accept checks from people that we've hustled. And there is a reason for that. A check, once written, is as good as cash. But to a bunch of hustlers, it can be a lot more than that.
I don't write checks, because every time you write a check, you leave an audit trail. On the check is your name and address, your phone number, your bank's name and address, your signature, your account number, your routing number. That alone is enough for me to draft on your bank account.
There are many ways a hustler can misuse a cheque, and throughout the past year, ours were happy to help by handing over a pen. These ladies gave Alex a cheque for the deposit on a flat that was never up for lease. This man paid for some old bric-a-brac that he thought was genuine game show memorabilia. And of course, at the start of the show, these customers came to Alex's fake till innocently wanting to pay for their Christmas shopping. All these people thought they were safe paying by cheque, and usually they would be, except they made the mistake of signing with the hustler's pen.
Now, what I have here is one of the checks that we got. It's for £50, made payable to Mr. Ian Steele. Okay, so this has been written with our pen. So if I take our pen, which has got an eraser on the top of it, which we took out when we did the scan, if I use that eraser, I can basically get all the information out. And the only thing, of course, I'm going to leave there is the signature. So now I can use a real pen. Pay Alexis Conran, me, £500, and now I have this.
Individuals must be kept track of in a system to report on environmental capacity, to have a medical record, and an identity in that group. But this falsehood must be separated from reality to be accepted as a status agreement identity. Your identity will not be present in front of others, only software, which will keep track of everything for your benefit. This identity will not be mistaken for you, just an identity inside software, for your health, and a record of individuals in the system. This will work towards Earth's carrying capacity to support X number of individuals. Or,
if the guy's name is Euripides Sneed, it doesn't tell you a thing. Jacques Fresco, the Jacque, doesn't stand for anything. So if each letter stood for areas of interest, do you know what I mean? Botany, chemistry, symbols, new symbols, you'll have a new name. Symbol 34D, whatever it is. That'll tell you what the person's like, instead of you saying, where did you come from, where were you born, what are your major areas of interest. Their name will tell you that. I'm an aeronautical engineer, you know what that means. I'm an aerodynamicist, I'm a chemist, you know what that means. So if a guy comes up and says, I'm a chemist, and I'm D4, that tells you a lot. If a guy says, well, I'm just a painter and I paint whatever I feel like painting, well, that doesn't tell you very much about the person. So I would say the names of people will tell you all about them in the future. Otherwise, it becomes cumbersome. If you want to manage the earth intelligently, you can't go on inventing Latin names for a flower that's 3 feet long. No, guy feels good because he composes it of Latin symbol. In medicine, they have that too.
it's amazing how the imagination can grasp the individual of the human species. How pieces of paper with some marks on them can compel, force, excite, or scare the human being.